What Trump and al-Sisi are doing and why it doesn't change the CFTA. What if the Nile debate already crossed the point of no return? As Washington and Cairo talk diplomacy, a legal shift already reshaped the river itself. Hello and welcome. I'm Meron Damda and this is Analytica Today. On October 13, 2024, a historic moment took place for the Nile Basin. After decades of delay, the Nile Basin Cooperative Framework Agreement ensured the CFA officially came into force. This wasn't a press conference moment, but it was maybe the most important legal shift in Nile politics in a generation. So here's the question many are asking. Do current moves by Egypt and its allies, including diplomatic pressure involving the US, actually affect the CFA? Let's break it down. The Nile runs through 11 countries, supporting hundreds of millions of people. Yet for most of modern history, control of its waters was locked in by colonial-era treaties, signed without upstream nations at the table. Those agreements gave Egypt and Sudan the overwhelming share. Upstream countries, including Ethiopia, which contributes most of the water, were sidelined. The CFA was created to correct that imbalance. It promotes equitable use, cooperation, and shared decision-making, replacing colonial dominance with basin-wide governance. For years, it stalled, not because of lack of support, but because it needed 6 ratifications. That changed in July 2024, when South Sudan ratified the agreement, pushing the CFA into force. With that, the Nile River Basin Commission was born. This is the key point. Once in force, a treaty becomes law among its members. Egypt and Sudan rejected the CFA immediately. They called it unilateral. They urged a return to the old Nile Basin Initiative framework. But legally, something important has shifted. Egypt's historic claims rely on colonial-era agreements. Those agreements are not binding on states that never signed them, a principle recognized in international law. The CFA does not cancel Egypt's water use. It simply ends exclusive control. This is why Cairo sees the CFA as existential, not because water disappears, but because veto power does. That explains the political pressure, regional alliances, and diplomatic escalation we're seeing right now. Recent US-Egypt coordination, including renewed mediation language, has raised questions. Here's the reality. The CFA is already in force. It does not require Egypt's approval to apply among its members. No external actor can reverse its diplomatic pressure, may influence bilateral talks, but it cannot undo a multilateral treaty already activated. In other words, politics can slow cooperation, but it cannot erase the legal shift. Here's the real shift most people miss. The Nile debate is no longer about whether upstream countries have rights. That question is answered. The debate is now about how cooperation happens in a shared basin with or without Egypt's consent. That's the new reality. The CFA marks the end of colonial-era water monopolies and the beginning of shared governance. Tensions remain. Diplomacy will be messy, but the direction is set. The Nile is no longer controlled by history. It's being shaped by law, equity, and regional agency. That's all for today.
Well, thank you very much. A friend of mine he was a great general. He's a great president, and it's an honor to have him. And Mr. President, we have a lot to talk about, so I thought maybe the press might want to ask us a couple of questions after you say a few words. But we had a wonderful time, and I think we've made a lot of progress so far in Switzerland. In Davos, made a speech. It's being reviewed quite nicely. And we have a fantastic relationship with Egypt, and the president will call and ask for things, and we always are able to work it out. But the relationship's been very strong right from the beginning, from years ago. So I want to thank you very much. Please.
اسمح لكم رئيس ان انا في البدايه بشكرك على اتاحه الفرصه ان انا هذه المقابله وان انا اهنيك على عام كامل من الانجازات تحقق في فتره ولايتك الثانيه.
Allow me, Mr. President, at the beginning to extend my thanks and appreciation for you for allowing this opportunity to happen and this meeting with you. I would like also to congratulate you on a year full of achievements since you came back to office.
زي ما كنت رئيس ان انا اشكرك ايضا على كل ما حققت فيما يخص الملف اصعب الملفات المنطقه هو ملف غزه.
I'd like also to thank you, Mr. President, and congratulate you for all the achievements that you've done on one of the toughest files in our part of the world. This is Gaza.
وانا قلت لك فخامه الرئيس واكد ده تاني قدام زملائنا وقدام الصحافه. لولا فخامه الرئيس لم يكن ابدا يتم الخطر في غزه.
I said it before, I reiterate it now, I re-emphasize it before our colleagues and before the media, but for President Trump, we wouldn't have reached an agreement on Gaza.
وأطلب من فخامة الرئيس الاستمرار في رعايته لهذا الملف حتى يتحقق الخطة كاملة كما علمتهم فخامة الرئيس.
I would ask you, Mr. President, to continue paying your attention and care, for this file so that the plan should be implemented.
لقد علمتم ان المرحله الثانيه في خط الرئيس مهم جدا ان احنا نتحرك فيها بالايجابيه الكامله واحنا هستفادوا منا كل ما يمكن عمله من اجل انجاح هذه الخطه.
Mr. President, you've announced the second phase of the Gaza plan. This is very important that it comes forward and it takes effect. And on our part, we'll be standing there ready to provide everything that we can to make this a success.
خط رئيس المجلس احنا يسعدنا ان احنا نبقى موجودين فيه وان احنا نبذل جهد فيما يخص هذا الملف واي ملف اخر يؤدي للسلام في منطقتنا والعالم.
As for the Council of Peace, it is our pleasure to be on the Council of Peace, the Board of Peace. We are very happy to be on the Board of Peace, and we are supporting and very happy to be there, backing up every effort that can bring about peace in our part of the world and globally as well.
مش عايز ايضا في خط رئيس ان انا اشكرك على دعمك لنا في قضيه وجوديه قضيه ملف سد النهضه والمياه.
I'd like also to thank you, Mr. President, for your support us in an existential issue. And this is the Gerd Grand Renaissance Dam in the River Nile.
وايضا انا بسجل مره اخرى ان ده امام الصحافه ان الخط الرئيسي يهتم بهذا الملف في منذ ولايته الاولى وحرص على ان هو يقدم الجهد اللازم للوصول الى اتفاق فيما يخص هذا السد.
And for the record and before the press, I'd like just to remind everybody that Your Excellency did a lot of effort in this regard, in this file, in your first term in office. You almost had a deal, and you did everything in your power at the time to get this deal done.
فخامة الرئيس كل التقدير والاحترام لفخامتك.
Mr. President, it's our highest appreciation and respect.
Well, thank you very much. They're talking about the dam that's been built in Ethiopia. It's one of the largest dams in the world, the largest dam in Africa, but it's one of the largest dams anywhere in the world. It was financed by the United States, and it basically blocks the Nile River. You know, when I think of Egypt, I think about the Nile more than any other place, in all fairness, but it goes through Ethiopia, and a dam was built, a very big one, very, very big one, massive, and it was something that should have been talked about a long time ago when they were building it and financing it. So I got involved at the end of my first term, and I was going to have a deal. We were pretty close to a deal. Then we had a rigged election, and I left, and of course Biden didn't do anything about it because he didn't know he was alive. And here I come back, and it's become a very dangerous issue, the dam. And I'll see if I can get that back on track. We were all set to make a deal. We're going to do a joint venture of sorts, and it would have been good. I think it would have been good for both. But it's a dangerous thing. They built a dam where somebody's not getting the water that they are supposed to get and that they've gotten for a million years. And all of a sudden the water flow is blocked by a very massive dam. I wouldn't be happy about it. And you have a very strong leader in the president. And you have a strong leader in Ethiopia too. I don't know him as well as I know you, but he's a strong guy. And I'm going to try bringing the two of you together, see if we can make a deal.
I appreciate that.
Okay, I think he understands me. I think he understands English better than we do. Okay. You know, a lot of these guys that don't understand, they understand it very well. But I think we'll be able to do something about the dam. The dam's a big problem, but we'll be able to do something. Most importantly, great leader, great guy, and we're there for each other. We've known each other right from before Hillary. It was before Hillary. We met during the campaign with Hillary, and we met at a hotel. She was supposed to meet with the president, and I was supposed to meet. I went first, and after he met me, he didn't want to meet her. And I said, I like that guy. But we've had from that moment on, that was before the election. Yes. We've always had a great relationship, and it continues stronger than ever. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Needed to be a permanent member of the board of the press.
Well, we're going to have a lot. We have a lot of great people that want to join. It's going to be the most prestigious board ever formed. The president is a member. We have major countries, and some need parliamentary approval, but for the most part, everybody wants to be on. I have a little bit of the opposite problem. People want to be on, and we didn't ask them. They want to get on, but we'll look at the country. So we're going to have. I think it's the greatest board ever formed. And we call it the Board of Peace. That's what it is. It's the Board of Peace. And it started on Gaza, and I appreciate what you said on Gaza, because it's true. If we weren't involved, there'd be no peace. It's peace. We have peace in the Middle East now. and you might have Hamas. We have a little flame here and there, but basically that'll be taken out. If they don't get rid of the guns, then they'll be then they will be very unhappy people. You know, we'll have no choice. They will be eliminated. They made a deal to get out. You have Hezbollah in Lebanon. We have to do something there. You know, they're causing a lot of problems, but those are small. We actually have peace in the Middle East, and the president was very instrumental. He really helped us, one of the most. And we've had great help from a number of countries, but Egypt has been great. The president's been great. And we have peace in the Middle East. It's an amazing thing. Nobody thought we'd ever see that. Now, I would say if we didn't bomb the Iran nuclear plant, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 months. You would not have peace in the Middle East. You wouldn't be able to. Nobody would be able to do that. But that's what gave us peace in the Middle East. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. Thank you, President.
What topic did you take?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, President. Thank you,
We'll see what happens. The military's not on the table. I don't think it'll be necessary. I really don't. I think people are going to use better judgment. They'll use their best judgment, and I don't think that will not be necessary.
Thank you,